What's up, rockers? Welcome to another episode of the Talk Louder podcast, where we geek out on all things rock and roll. Hit that subscribe button on our YouTube channel. Leave us your likes and comments. You can also leave likes and comments on our Facebook page. Follow us on iTunes, Spotify, Instagram at talklouder_podcast. And, of course, our website, talklouderpodcast.com, where you'll find links to our merch and all of our previous 100-plus episodes. I'm Metal Dave, along with my co-host Jason McMaster, and today we are joined by our favorite honorary Texan. Nigel Glockler is with us. Nigel from Saxon is back from England. He is currently living in Texas again. We're happy to have him back in the Lone Star State. He's joining us today to talk primarily about his new project, which is a band called 6x6. And it features Ian Crichton, who is the guitarist for Saga, a band out of Canada. Had a hit in the United States with On the Loose. I remember watching that video.
I'm going to geek out for a second. I love that song.
Yeah,
I love it.
I remember the video.
It was like it was kind of like Europe before Europe. They sound like Europe a little bit. Yeah. And they also have sort of a Queen vibe too. The singer is kind of doing he has a Freddie Mercury tone. He even in the video, people remember, I'm dating myself here, but that's okay.
I remember.
The singer is even dressed like Freddie. He's wearing all white, sleeves cut off. He's got a red stripe somewhere. I seem to remember him being somewhat freakishly tall, which is not really like Freddie. But he also played keys, but he would put the keyboard up front next to his, where he would rock out with the mic stand and stuff. But dude, Ian Crichton, this guitar player, is like an Yngwie kind of a guy. He's just more of a chill stylistically, but he can play like that. And Saga is not just an early 80s one-hit wonder. They're still together, apparently, and still play shows and festivals. And so I love it when I saw that and even watched the video, the 6x6, the newest video is called China. I recognized the guy right away from the On the Loose video, and I was like, that's him. So anyone who sort of likes that sort of nostalgia thing, such as I do, we'll see that right away and recall all of that, and your 80s fanboy will come rushing back.
But you need to mention Robert Berry also. Robert's the bass player in 6x6.
Well, and he's the producer apparently.
Yeah, produced the record. So the band is a three-piece. It's Nigel Glockler, Ian Crichton, and Robert Berry.
It's a super group.
It is, and they both and they all three have deep roots in prog. I know Nigel, of course, is primarily known as the drummer for the mighty metal band Saxon, but he's shared with us in the past. He's a huge Genesis fan. Genesis is his favorite band of all time, and he's spent some time in a later version of the band Asia. He's played with Steve Howe. So all these guys have roots in prog rock. But maybe the other two are more widely known for their roots in prog rock than Nigel. But Nigel is having a great time with this project because he's sort of able to flex some of the creative muscles that maybe he doesn't get to flex as much in a band like Saxon, which is known for being heavy metal and unapologetically so, thankfully. But yeah, 6x6, great new project by some seasoned players, immense amount of talent in that trio. They got the new album out. It's called 6x6, and apparently they're already kicking around ideas for a second album. So that band is here to stay.
They have three. I think that Nigel alerted me that there's 3 singles off the record already. So they're churning them out, and they're planning a tour. And Nigel talks a lot about that. It's really cool to see Nigel smiling and happy, and he's virtually a happy-going, happy-go-lucky, fun guy already.
Right.
But to see him light up when he talks about this, I love that.
Yeah, and you mentioned the 3 singles. We should name them so people can check this out on YouTube. The 6x6, there's a song called China. There is another song called Save the Night and another called Yearning to Fly. And there are videos for all three of those songs available on YouTube. The Yearning to Fly video is really well done. I mean, they're all very well done, but that one, the animation and the visuals and stuff are very clever. So 3 things there for you to check out on YouTube if you haven't already got the album, sort of get a taste of what 6x6 is all about. And yeah, I think it's just great that Nigel's getting to do some of this prog rock stuff.
Yeah, it's awesome. It was great having him today.
Yeah, always. Let's bring him in. Nigel Glockler on the Talk Louder podcast. So, Nigel, welcome back to Texas.
Thank you very much.
How long have you been back in Dallas?
Probably a couple of weeks, I think it is, something like that. Yeah, a couple of weeks.
So you come back periodically. Your in-laws live in Dallas, so you come back periodically and stick around for a couple months, 6 weeks, something like that.
No, I mean, we're based here now. So, it's, I mean, for the past 3 months, I've been sort of in Europe doing Saxon festival gigs.
So I'm going to be the first to take a bite at this. So you're in Dallas and it's 1 p.m.
Oh, man.
I'll let myself out. I'm
well
so sorry.
played.
I apologize.
That was well played. It is indeed 1 p.m. and Nigel's in Dallas.
Yeah.
So
It might get worse. Just warning you.
No.
So tell us, Nigel, what you've been doing the last 3 months. You mentioned you were doing some festival dates with Saxon. In some respects, the touring has sort of returned after COVID, and you're sort of catching up and making up for lost times. Tell us how the summer went for you and Saxon, and then we'll get into some of the 6x6 stuff.
It was, as I say, it was, these festivals have been booked for a while, so we just got on with it, and we did some shows, outdoor shows with Judas Priest.
Nice.
But, no, I mean, it was great. Again, it was great to get out playing,
Yeah.
Even though it was damn hot at some of these festivals in Europe, oh my God.
How many fans do you have blowing on you?
2.
2, okay. As to where in the old days there might have been more. That was a bad joke too. Sorry.
Yeah.
So tell us about some of the festivals. I think I heard was Steelhouse one of them.
Yeah, Steelhouse was a last minute one because we were asked to sort of, we were asked if we'd be willing to do it because I think Ace Frehley was meant to be headlining that night,
Right.
and they contacted us and said, "Help! Can you guys do it?" So we said, "Yeah, of course." And so it was we enjoy that one. Usually it's a mud fest up there, but this time it was a bit, it wasn't quite so bad.
Right.
Well, that's cool that you guys were ready to go. I mean, you didn't have to rehearse. You just showed up and kicked butt. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we'd been playing, I'm trying to think, I can't remember how many festivals we'd done, but I mean, by that time, we'd done, we'd played in Poland, Italy, Slovakia, Czech Republic, Austria, Hungary. So, yeah, we'd blown the cobwebs out.
Yeah. How is touring in a post-COVID world? How does your environment change as far as the meet and greets and being able to interact with other bands at these festivals? Or are you living in a bubble, or has things sort of opened up a little bit?
It's there's no meet and greets with fans.
Yeah.
You just can't take the risk.
Right.
Because if someone in our sort of lot catches, COVID, it's game over for a couple of weeks or whatever, because everyone, I mean, we were testing, I personally was probably testing about every 2-3 days,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just something you've got to do,
Right.
Because as I say, you just can't take the chance.
Yeah.
Well, there's no way to know of any exposure from anyone who's near you. There's no way at all.
No, that's right. That's right. I mean, we had to blow out 3 festivals because someone in our entourage got COVID. And we had to blow out Barcelona and a couple of gigs in Finland. And then after we'd done, I'm trying to think, we did 3 in a row. We did Slovakia. I think that was with Priest. Then we did our own show in Hungary, and then we did another one in Austria with Priest. Got back home, me and Doug got it.
Man.
Yeah, this despite being masked most of the time.
Yeah.
But you just got to be careful,
Yeah. It's a whole different world out there, I guess. On the one hand, it's great that everything's starting to come back and you're able to tour and play festivals and play concerts and that sort of thing. On the other hand, it's a different world as far as interacting with your fans and your tour mates and that sort of thing.
I want to say something too. It's kind of like sort of amazing. You have to be healthy first.
Yeah.
Because what you're going up against. So then, if you're not playing music, which is what you're here to do, you're almost mentally unhealthy because you can't get out there and do. You have to find a way to keep your mind busy. I mean, during the 2-3 years that this was happening and people had to slow down their business, their touring, and they're either forced to be creative in other ways, sure, but now that you're sort of back, and you're having to deal with this, it's like at least you're mentally healthy, and you have also physically prepared, I would imagine, a little bit more than usual to keep your and I'm talking your band, your crew, everybody, to stay in the game. And then on top of that, you have to put this sort of see-through wall, like canceling photo shoots, meet and greets with fans and stuff like that, just to be. I just wanted to comment on the mentally healthy thing now, just because you are out there, and everybody who's sort of getting on a plane and double masking, and they're all vaxxed up and everything, just so they can be mentally healthy, even though they're putting themselves in harm's way, literally.
Yeah.
So it's just very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, you just don't know. I mean, thankfully, when I got it, it was just like having a summer cold.
Yeah.
I've got one of these sort of temperature guns with me and stuff, and I had no temperature at all.
Wow.
But thank God.
Yeah. Well,
So,
glad rebounded. How many songs from this album, Carpe Diem, made it into your set recently?
No, none. No, we're saving that because we're touring Europe and the UK starting in October.
Okay. So no sneak peeks at the festival then. By the way, this album is great. For fans that are listening that may not have heard Carpe Diem, the latest album from Saxon, you guys are one of those handful of bands that I like to talk about on the podcast that I feel is continuing to put out really strong albums consecutively at this late stage in your career. I feel like every album going all the way back to Call to Arms, and what is that now, 5 albums or so?
Something like that,
Yeah, and they've all been really good, and this one is no exception, Carpe Diem. I got to give a shout to Nigel because the drumming on Living on the Limit is amazing, man. It's the last song on the album, and the double kicks in that song are incredible. I shared that with my son Dash because he's an aspiring drummer, and I was like, listen to this. This is amazing. This man has been doing this for decades, and he still has the stamina to play a song like Living on the Limit. It's just incredible. So great record. Congratulations. And I guess you'll save it for the tour to promote it live.
Yeah. We're already sort of kind of working out which songs we're going to do in the tour. So
Yeah. Well, it's a great album. Whatever you add will be a nice addition to the set.
Thank you.
Let's okay. So you're back in Texas. What's the first thing you do when you get back to Texas? What is it you miss the most when you're in England and you get back to Texas and you go, you know, what's number one on the list besides Buc-ee's?
Buc-ee's.
For those who don't know, Buc-ee's is a chain truck stop, gas station, convenience store, and it's massive. And they have everything. And Nigel, I know, is a big fan. If you've seen any photos of him, you've seen Nigel wearing a Buc-ee's T-shirt before, I'm sure. So what do you have to do as soon as you get back to Texas? What do you miss the most?
Weather, I think.
Weather.
You know, although Europe, you know, we've had a heat wave. I mean, there's parts of England that they've declared a drought.
Yeah.
So, but generally it's the weather, and of course the misses. Of course, that's the most important thing.
Right. Yeah, we don't want to get you in any trouble.
No.
I always thought it was interesting that you like the Texas weather, being that you're from Britain, because I would guess that most people would find it extremely intolerable. I mean, I'm a native Texan and I find it intolerable. So I've always thought it was interesting that you don't mind the heat.
No, I don't mind that. I mean, my sort of attitude to weather is I don't care how hot or how cold it is, as long as there's a blue sky.
Yeah.
I like that.
I like that too. I don't know how people live under gray skies for days on end. Yeah.
I want clear sunny sky. I don't care whether it's minus or plus.
Right. You mentioned, and we'll move on in just a minute. You mentioned Saxon going out to tour in October. Are there any plans for North American dates?
We're looking at something sort of early next year, I believe. So, early days yet, but yeah, we're trying to sort something out. Definitely.
Okay. Yeah, because we're overdue, so don't forget about us.
Oh, don't you?
All right, let's move on to 6x6, your new project with Ian Crichton on guitar from the band Saga, and Robert Berry on bass. Who you've got a long history with these two guys, so sort of bring us up to date on how your paths crossed back in the day and what brought you to the present day and the new album from 6x6.
Right. Well, let's start with Robert. I mean, I was, when I joined GTR, Steve Hackett had gone by this time and Robert was brought in as a songwriter and everything. So we hit it off straight away. So that was cool. And then when the GTR thing sort of imploded, we kind of lost touch for a little while, but I think we were playing San Jose, I think it was, and I can't remember who contacted who, but anyway, Robert came to the show and everything, and we've kept in touch ever since then. And Ian, well, we sort of Saxon and Saga paths crossed quite a few times in Germany at festivals and just general gigging and everything. So, we were always sort of meeting up, say, a couple of times a year,
Okay.
And I'm a big Saga fan.
Mm-hmm.
So that was cool. I mean, Ian for me is like one of my favorite guitarists, without blowing smoke up his backside.
Yeah.
And then suddenly out of the blue, Robert emailed me and said, I've got a band together with this guy, Ian Crichton, and you're the guy. and that was it. And I said, he said, I'll send you some demos and stuff. And within, I don't know, like a couple of weeks, I was on a flight over there to do the drums.
Wow.
End of.
Yeah. And so for people that aren't familiar with 6x6, the album just came out recently. I don't even know if it's been out a month yet, has it?
It's been out a week, I think.
Okay, so it's been out a week. And
the video for China, the single, is already like blown up though.
Yeah.
The video, the YouTube, I watched it on YouTube and I loved it, and there was a ton of views. It's going to be in a few weeks. I would imagine it'll be 100,000 views already, if it's not there already.
Yeah, I mean the other I know Yearning to Fly's got there. That was
oh good. Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's got there.
So China's the newest one, the latest? Okay.
First one was Yearning to Fly. Then I think it was Save the Night was the second one.
Ah.
And then China's the third one. So China's the most recent one, yeah.
Yeah, so for people that haven't heard the album yet, how would you describe the sound? Because I'm sure people are curious, wondering what does it sound like coming in? They know you as the drummer for Saxon.
Yeah.
So I'm sure they're wondering, what is this going to sound like when Nigel gets together with these other two guys? How would you describe it?
Well, it's very. I'm trying to think how to do it. You know, obviously it's pretty. It's rock, obviously. You know, with on sort of AOR.
Yeah.
It's I suppose you sort of call it progressive heavy rock. I think it's not metal.
No. Right.
You know, it's very melodic. I mean, it's given Ian a lot of freedom. I think a lot of people are going to be surprised when they hear what he's playing on it, because it's just given him total free space rather than, I think a lot of the Saga stuff he has to sort of play along, you know, in unison with the keyboards and stuff like that.
That's what I really like about Saga is they had almost a neoclassical vibe with the guitar and the keyboard play between each other. And I was already a fan when I saw Ian was in this project. I was like, that's the guy, you know. And I thought about On the Loose and that the solo in that. It's almost he's almost like a prog guitarist who could play super heavy or melodic pop. You know, he's a pro guitar player.
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I think some of the stuff he's played on the Six album, I mean, there were a couple of solos that I heard the demos of, you know, when because I went in, I was the last to go in, basically, because Robert's a great drummer too, actually. He'd laid a template for each tracks when they, and so that was a guide, but he said, go and do your own stuff on it. So, and then, I mean, so when I was listening to the tracks, I mean, there are a couple of like Ian solos on there. And Robert said, he's going to replace that. I said, don't you dare. You are not replacing those solos. No. You know?
And at your request, did they leave the solos?
They did.
Excellent. Wow.
You don't want to make the drummer mad.
No, don't make the drummer mad. So you were the last to come in, and you had they gave you some power. They gave you some say. Your opinion mattered. That's amazing.
I mean, we were constantly, you know, I mean, Robert and Ian had been working for God knows how many months on this stuff, you know, sending snippets to each other and bits and pieces. And I mean, Robert's a great arranger. I mean, his vocals on this, I think, are stunning. His melodies and lyrics are great, you know.
If I may, his voice is, and I'm just being honest, all I've really heard right now is, all I've focused on is China. He has a beautiful singing voice. It's not... It doesn't sway either way. You could hear that he could go either way. He could add some grit and be a little nastier if he wanted to, and his change in dynamic is definitely experienced. Yeah,
I mean, he's done some stuff on there, and I think, you know, surely he's not going to go higher note-wise, and suddenly he hits this high note, and I'm like, whoa, where's he going to go from that one? You know,
right.
But they were really cool. We were sort of, you know, zooming with Ian and stuff, and sort of I was allowed to sort of say, well, what do you think about this? Yeah, let's do that, and blah, you know, so it's a total three-way thing, you know.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. How much of the album are songs that each of you brought to the table individually, and how much of it is the three of you deciding to do this project and then sort of approaching it as a team? Was it kind of a amalgam of what's the word I'm looking for?
Amalgamation.
Amalgamation. There you go. Thank you, sir. Was it?
I mean, Robert and Ian had written everything, right? Because they'd been working for quite a few months before I even came into the equation.
Okay.
So the songs were basically there.
Okay.
You know, sort of. I mean, I came in and they said, you know, do what you want to do on it, basically.
Right.
So, But they'd written everything. But I mean, we've already started looking at the next album.
Wow.
So I've put snippets in on this as well.
Okay.
So we're already looking at that. So everyone will be involved on the next one.
That raises a question from my side here. We've been friendly for years and years now, but I don't know if I actually know or knew. Nigel, do you play other instruments? Do you play any keys or guitar?
Yeah, keys, yeah.
Keys.
Wow. Okay.
Play a little bit of bass.
Okay.
A pathetic amount of guitar.
Sounds like me.
But I'm no Rick Wakeman, but I just, if I'm writing, I can just sort of get it across, and sometimes I'll use guitar samples.
Yeah.
So I'll play a riff on a keyboard, and then the guitarist will turn it into a guitar riff.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know if a lot of people realize just how much of a prog rock fan you are. Obviously, your reputation is built on Saxon, but I would think coming into an opportunity like 6x6 gives you a lot of room to flex your prog rock, intuition more so than Saxon.
Yeah, I mean the difference is there's a bit more light and shade.
Yes.
There's the odd little sort of odd time signature somewhere, which is cool. But yeah, I mean, I've always been a prog head, band, Yes, and stuff like that. All those and Genesis. I mean, I think I've told you before. I think my favorite ever band's Genesis.
Yes.
Wow.
You have told me that.
Whatever lineup, I love it all. And probably, my second favorite band is this Italian band called PFM.
Yes.
And who I turned you on to.
Yes, I went and watched it on YouTube immediately after our conversation. It was good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I used to absolutely, blow the house apart to, practicing drums when I was living with my parents still. Put headphones on, put PFM albums on, and I'd be up in my bedroom slamming the drum kit,
I kind of know how that works. Yeah, I've got a kid that's slamming the drum set at my house now.
It was funny actually. We had a couple of dogs at home, a couple of Jack Russells, Tom and Jerry they were, and as soon as they saw me going near my drum kit, if they were in my room, saw me, they went, "Oh, we're out."
We have a cat that does the same thing. Dash will go upstairs, and as soon as she hears that kick pedal hit that bass drum, because he's getting settled into his kit, she's off and she's going to hide. And sometimes I go with her.
Yeah.
So what are your plans? Tell me, is there any significance to the name 6x6? How'd that come about?
Well, apparently it's 6'6" or something is the length of human DNA, apparently. Wow. It was just, we were just looking at names. I mean, there were some hilarious names came up. We were making names up to see if they were, and then checking on Wikipedia, I mean, it's just if they were bands of the same name, and you wouldn't believe how many there are. Hilarious. But there was that, and then we thought, well, there's three of us, 6 hands, 6, whatever. 6 eyes, whatever, and we just thought it worked because, the idea is to stay as a 3-piece.
Yeah, yeah. And I love the album cover too. It's an interest. Is that a painting?
Our sort of media guy, Rob, he sort of put that together. He just sort of did it as, I don't know, just as an experiment. I saw that. I said, that is just brilliant.
So people that haven't seen it, how would we describe this? It's sort of it's 3 guys on a motorcycle with a sidecar, or
yeah, and I think it's from like the 1920s or something, like early 1920s or something. And then he sort of put these really weird trees in the background. I mean, I saw that and I just thought, that is brilliant. That's got to be the cover. It's just got to be, because it was so different. I mean, I can see that on a big poster,
Yeah.
And, we had one rule, no spaceships, no space, nothing like that, which a lot of proggy people do. So we had no,
Right, right. And I like the dice. It's got there's a pair of dice in there, so there's all kinds of imagery and playing off the name 6x6.
Are the
Yeah.
dice? I guess I haven't seen it. Are the dice showing sixes?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah.
I was just guessing.
That's a good guess. What are the tour plans for 6x6?
We're kind of looking at maybe the sort of second quarter of next year. We want to get some. We're definitely going to be touring. Definitely.
Yeah. Now
This is not like a one-off project. This is a band.
yeah.
So as I say, we're already looking at the next album and touring.
Again, would that tour make its way to North America, or is that it's
Damn.
too early to?
Oh yeah.
There's your answer.
There's your answer.
Yeah,
Well-
we're excited about it. I mean, obviously, we're going to have a lot of rehearsal because Robert on the album played keyboards as well. I mean, he's a great keyboard player, great bass player. So we're going to have to sort of work out like a Rush type thing, probably with some pedals and bass pedals and things like that.
So you would keep it as a 3-piece even in the live environment?
We'll see how it goes. I mean, we'll see how rehearsals go and take it from there. I mean, maybe we might have to have another keyboard player at some point. I don't know.
Yeah.
Would you be willing to? Because I've seen bands do this, or I've seen drummers do this, where like if there was a part that had a significant bass line in it that pretty much had to be there.
Yeah.
Would there be some kind of way for you, even though you would be busy, some kind of pad you could hit that would play through like the section that he had to put his hands on the bass, while you still kept the beat? I'm sure there's a way around to at least keep the 3-piece, the 6x6.
Yeah.
I mean, you're ample. You're able to do that. So I would imagine you guys will figure this out fairly quickly within start of rehearsals.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of technology now that you can use, pads and stuff with samples on. I've already got a pad that I use with Saxon. With
right,
like the sort of jet from 747 on, and I'm trying to think there's a church bell on another pad, and just stuff like that, that I can sort of quickly whack, while I'm on the beat. So yeah, I mean that's a definite possibility.
Yeah, like if there's a key patch, like a hold, right? You can just hit that, get back into your beat, and the next chord, boom, next chord.
Yeah.
Even Neil Peart did that.
Yeah.
In places, a lot of people may not know that, but there is, Geddy with where he has to play the bass line. He's got all those pedals. I'm confident it's a done deal. You guys are going to remain a 3-piece.
Alex had pedals too, so
sure. Yeah.
There's a way.
Oh yeah, I was going to say you seem. I mean, you've already said that you're excited about it, but you seem happy to be involved in this thing. Yeah. You seem to be glowing about it a little bit, and that's really great to see, man.
That's kind of what I was getting at earlier, because he has had such a long-standing interest in prog, and Saxon obviously is a different beast. But I would imagine that for Nigel, this is sort of the kid in the candy store scenario where he gets to flex those muscles a little bit and collaborate with like-minded people, where the mission isn't just metal, No,
that's right. I mean, it's like, last year as well. I mean, I did a couple of other album sessions. I did a couple of tracks on the last Alcatraz album.
Yes.
And then I did an album with Jim Kirkpatrick of FM. I think I mentioned that to you before.
Mm-hmm.
I love, playing with other people. It's like, it's interesting.
Yeah.
It's sort of, I'm constantly striving to improve all the time, in some way or another. And, I think sometimes playing with other people makes you push yourself.
So you're back in Texas now, and we had Nibs on the show a while back, and I didn't realize this, but he's based out of Germany.
Yes.
So how how has the Saxon writing process changed over the years with everybody sort of living in different areas of the country? I know that COVID sort of made it to where bands were starting to create albums remotely, much
Yeah.
more so than they had before. But you guys were kind of already doing that. So did it have a major impact on your songwriting, or something you were already kind of used to?
No, it was something we were used to. Everyone sends bits and bobs in, you know. I mean, obviously, in the early days, it was a lot different because we'd all go into a studio and just jam for weeks, you know, and get stuff together. But, you know, with the technology now that's happened over the past, say, 25 years, something like that, you don't have to do that now, although I do enjoy doing that.
Yeah, I was going to say, do you miss that? Because I know all of us, when we were younger guys, the whole idea was to get in a room and make a racket with your friends and have a few beers and just let it rip.
Yeah.
And, you know, the older we get and responsibilities and other things kind of get in the way. But even though technology allows for you to record remotely, you have to miss some aspects of the camaraderie in the room.
Yeah, I mean, plus, I mean, actually, I've got to say, when I record, again, I think I've mentioned this to you before. When I record, I like to record on my own.
Do you record on your own gear at your house, at your place? No.
Go to
okay.
What I like to do is, you know, we have the demos, and the demos are done to a click.
Yeah.
Right. So we know what the tempo is going to be. I mean, the only thing that would sort of change is maybe, you know, go to the studio. Oh, let's try that a bit slower, or let's try that a bit, you know, up the tempo a little bit. But once that's all sussed, generally I like to go in a room, maybe with you know, one guitarist and the bass player, and I mean, this is for whatever I do actually.
Sure.
So, or again, I go on last sometimes. For instance, the album I did with Jim Kirkpatrick, I was last on it.
Yeah.
Everything was on, basically.
Right. When you compare to the old days, it used to not be that way. Your basic tracks were bass and drums, and then you overdub guitars and such.
Yeah.
But nowadays, that's gone out the window.
You could do it in reverse now.
A lot of people still do that kind of thing, and I think it's you feel most comfortable with. I mean, personally, I like to go in the studios to say one guitar, whichever guitarist plays the riff the best, has the best feel on it, and the bass player, and I go down, I go with a click track. Sometimes I'm lucky, get through the song, first takes the one, you know, which if that happens, great, you know, on to the next one. Yeah. But if it doesn't, then I can go in. If I want to do another one, I can go in, but I've already got them on track as a guide. So they can go off to the pub or wherever they want to go and leave me to it. You know, I think that there was always this thing, I feel, in the sort of past when you were all in a room together, it was like, yeah, great. I mean, my best takes are probably 1 to 4 of any track, you know, because you're fresh, you know. And there was always this thing, I might be doing a great take and then someone screws up in the middle of it, so you got to stop.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh. So then you do it again, and maybe the second take, I screw up or something, and then, oh, here we go. And the third take, someone else screws up. And you always get that thing in, we just got to get the drums down. So you end up playing it safe just to get it done.
Right.
Yeah.
On my own, I can just go for it. If I screw up, I screw up. There's no one else going, oh, geez. You know, there's only me. There's only me.
Yeah, you're under your own scrutiny.
Yeah,
you are taking care of business on your own. You know what you have to do already. There's not a producer or one of your other bandmates going, "Hey, you fucked up, man." You know, you don't need that shit. Yeah, you don't need that. You know. I have a question.
Yeah.
When you're picking tempos via click track, do you feel, or I'll just ask, I mean, is it like, let's talk Saxon. Is it Biff? You know, he has to sing his phrasing at a certain tempo. The song has to feel, hey, that's too fast. I can't get all my words in there. Or that's too slow. It feels like you guys are sleeping. It's a different song when it's this tempo and that tempo. Has to be this right tempo for the color of the song to come through. Lyrically, phrasing, melodies won't work if the tempo's not right. Is it Biff that's picking those tempos?
Everyone has a go. I mean,
Interesting.
got to be sort of, I mean, it's mainly bip, but at the same time, if it's pretty obvious if something isn't grooving.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, that's the most important thing in any song. It's got to groove.
Yes, that's right.
And if it doesn't damn well groove, it's you've got to think again.
Even if it's, and some people might not realize, even if it's a super fast burner of a song, there has to be this sort of creepy, sort of like undertow, which is groove. Even though you're going do-ga-dag, there has to be this thing happening.
It's got to be.
Yeah, it has to be like a serpentine. There has to be some kind of like wave happening, churning feeling, even though the tempo's 200. It has to be this freakish, fine. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know exactly. Yeah.
So the 6x6 stuff, Jason and I were texting each other back and forth, sort of trying to, compare, mention some of the sounds that we heard. If we were trying to explain this to somebody, and I heard little bits of Yes, and I heard bits of Asia. And then Jason brought up King's X, which I thought was an interesting comparison.
Love King's X.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I can tell. And I'm going, and just to be honest again, I know I've already said it, but I'm only going by China. I probably listened to the song 3 times, so I'm hearing like this. Of course, King's X they're a little edgier. Doug plays with a distorted bass sometimes, and it's got a different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So this was like a sort of like subdued, less dynamic version of King's X, only on this song once again. But it had all that groove, it had all the harmony and melody and phrasing of something that those guys might do. I'm not saying it sounded like King's X. It was like, stylistically, if you like King's X, you should check this out because it feels like that kind of a record.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I hadn't thought about that at all, actually.
They're very melodic, and like I said, they're edgy, but they're singing their asses off. The lyrics are conscientious, they're very thoughtful, and you guys are doing the same, almost political, and so still keeping gray area, but making people think. That's important. That's cool for what you have going on with it.
Yeah. No, that's interesting. I'll have to mention that to the guys, actually, when I speak to them later today.
Yeah. China is a bit political in its lyrical content, and so
don't blame Robert. No.
I wasn't going to blame you, but I was thinking to myself that's not a political statement. Is not usually something I associate with you specifically. I can't speak for the other 2 guys. Now, granted, Saxon has had some songs that have historical themes and that sort of thing, but this is a very contemporary, you could call it somewhat political song. How do you feel? Were you nervous about presenting something like that and being and worried that political backlash if somebody doesn't share our views on this or whatever?
No, Robert. I mean, we agree with Robert's written. He's right. He got really pissed off with the way that the Uyghurs are being handled in China and stuff. The Muslims over there being put in camps and stuff. And, he was just reading and looking at what was going on in the news,
Yeah.
So, no, I mean, it's not a case of him standing out there on his own. We've got his back too.
I related to it immediately because me and my wife talk about that group of people in China being mistreated all the time. She reads about it all the time. It's terrible. I
mean, I got, there were, Rob, I think it was Rob. I'm trying to think who it was. No, it wasn't Rob. It's the guy that does the video. Sorry, I've forgotten his damn name. He'll kill me now. But he put a few sort of things in imagery things, and it was like, the dog eating thing over there. And I went, no, I'm not having that in a video.
Mm-hmm.
I feel really strongly about it. I thought, no, that's too far. I mean, it just upset me seeing that.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So that's what I was getting at. So there are times when you'll draw a line and say, look, it's important that we say something, but we're not gonna go overboard with this.
No, because people know.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
People know.
So you mentioned 6x6 already mapping out a second album. Do you already have songs in the works? Have you been recording already, or we're not quite there yet?
No, we're not recording yet. I mean, as I say, there's some sort of bits I've sent to Robert and Ian and Robert Lighton, so that, I think Robert's already been working on one of the things I sent. But no, there's some tracks that didn't make it, that we never finished, or that aren't on the album yet.
Right. Okay.
So there's more stuff.
Is it fair to say that you might possibly be even more excited about the second album, since you're kind of coming in the door at the same time as the other guys?
Oh no, it's just great. It's, we get on great. Me and Ian hit it off straight away because he, like me, loves IPA and he loves Indian curry as well.
That's important.
He was really pissed off that I was in England for those 3 months because I was just gorging on it, It was a bit of a drag because I was like living at sort of crashing at friends' houses and stuff, while I was over there. And I sort of felt for a while I was living like a bit of a refugee. And so I sort of sent this in an email to Ian, and all he sent back was, yes, you may be living like a refugee, but they have chicken tikka there,
Mm-hmm.
Priorities. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. But get on great. We respect each other. There's no, it's just great.
Yeah. I know you're a beer guy. You just mentioned IPA. So when you get back to Texas, do you have any favorite Texan beers?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You do.
I know some of them. Yeah.
Yeah. There's one. In fact, Gina bought me a 4-pack of that, one of my favorite beers, which is More Cowbell by Buffalo Brewing Company from just outside Houston. So they were waiting for me.
Yeah. Those are good. Nigel brought some of those over to my house one time, and they were tasty. You got to be careful with them, though.
They didn't last. They still didn't last very long, I'm sure.
Well, I had some help.
Yeah.
I had some very good help, actually.
Yeah.
So let's, while we've got you, let's pick your brain a little bit. I want to go back, and you and I were talking the other day, and I found it really interesting. Somehow we landed on the subject of Motley Crue, and you mentioned that your favorite album from Motley Crue is the one they did with John Corabi.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people share that opinion. I guess I wasn't expecting it coming from you. So what is it about that album that you hold in such high regard?
It's kind of a cult, actually.
Yeah,
they're not anti-Motley Crue at all. They're fans of Motley Crue, but there's a lot of fans who really lean in on that record. It's like, I didn't know Motley could sound like this, because it's very different only because of the voice. Surely they didn't. Well, do you think they changed their songwriting to fit his voice, or do you think John came in? What's your take on that record?
I don't know. I just love it. I think, what's my favorite track? And is it Crack the Sky or Crash the Sky or whatever?
Crack the Sky, yes.
Riff just blows me away every time I hear it. The whole production of the album's great as well. It's just in your face, you know.
And you toured with Motley Crue a million years ago. What was that? Was it the Crusader tour, and they were on Shout at the Devil, or what?
Yeah, they were on Shout at the Devil, and it must have been Crusader we were on, I guess. Yeah.
84, 85?
Yeah. 84, I think it was.
Mm-hmm. And that was a pretty memorable tour for you. You told me that you got along really well with Nikki Sixx, and you guys had a bit of a friendship on the road. Of course, we're all younger then.
They were all cool, really. But no, me and Nikki had one of these. I don't know who started it, an arm punching competition.
Oh shit!
Place, and I beat him, so I was well pleased about that.
Well,
I
you're
remember,
you're
I
a
remember
drummer.
going down to lunch, and Nicky was sitting there. I said, "Come on, then, let's have it." And he was going, "No more, no more."
Well,
they
sure,
were,
you're a drummer, so keeping those arms in shape.
no, they were not. They were great.
Awesome.
Let's go back to, let's say, Crusader, Power and the Glory, or you pick. What's been your favorite tour? If you look back on all the tours Saxon has done and the bands that you've teamed up with, which was most enjoyable for you?
Oh God,
I know there's been a million.
I don't think I can pick just one, because I mean it's like you have great moments with any band you tour with.
Yeah.
There's some great fun, more recently, when we toured with Fozzy, we got those guys great. Chris is a great guy, UFO, we've known them a long time.
Yeah.
It's hard. I can't really just say one band,
Yeah.
There's certain times, when you're on tour, there's certain times that you have a great time. I mean, with any band, there's certain times when it gets you down, or you get a bit argumentative with people, whether it's within your own band or whatever. That's just the nature of the beast. It's just human. You know.
Well, you're living in cramped quarters under less than ideal circumstances. So
yeah, every tour's had its own, ups and downs. I mean, bands. I don't think we've really come across anyone that's been sort of total dicks with us, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, yeah. I remember seeing you open for Triumph, and I thought that was an interesting pairing because it makes when you went out with Iron Maiden, that made sense. When you went out with Rainbow, that made sense. When you went out with Accept, that made sense. But to me, Triumph was a bit of an odd pairing. What do you remember about that tour?
Yeah, I mean I think that was '82, wasn't it? I seem to think. I think it was like the first. Which was my first year touring the States. I mean, the first gigs we did were with Molly Hatchet. I mean, you can't think much more of a mismatch than that.
Yeah.
That was like, then we did that tour, and then we were jumping on, doing shows, say a run of 3 or 4 gigs with someone like Triumph. Then we did the Rainbow thing, and then it was like more Triumph again, and then Cheap Trick.
Oh.
We were Cheap Trick. I think Crocus were on in the middle then, and then they went and Aldenova came on.
Oh, wow. Okay.
When the gigs with Trick went mad, because obviously his first album was out that went, crazy. So no, that was they were great as well. In fact, it was one gig on that when I got taken to hospital because I had caught pneumonia.
Oh, no.
And I came back from the hospital, and I basically pleaded with the doctor. I said, just give me something so I can do the gigs. Because initially he said, you're not playing any gigs. I said, I've got to do it. And very kindly, Bunny Carlos had come in and offered his services, to play the Saxon set. And apparently he sat on my kit and went, whoa, bloody hell, or something.
I bet. Yeah.
But,
your kit's like 4 of his.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Did he play?
No, I played.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. But he was willing.
Yeah, I mean, thanks to him, it was great. He stepped up to the plate, offered it and everything, which is great,
Wow. Yeah, you've had such a long and storied history with Saxon, and still going strong. And like I said earlier, the albums are coming out great, and I don't see, you guys don't seem to be showing any signs of slowing down. Is there a game plan? Well, you mentioned there's a tour coming up, so
yeah.
Now that you're back in Texas, I know you and Doug. You lived close enough together in England where the two of you could actually get together and work on songwriting. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yeah.
So that's obviously changed now. What do you miss about being in the room with Doug? I guess you haven't really started writing for the next album yet, but how is that dynamic going to be different besides
Well,
for obvious reasons.
as I said, I was over there for nearly the whole summer, so we were getting stuff done. You know, and again, with all this remote stuff, there's nothing to stop him sending me ideas and me sending him ideas. You know, it's just not face to face.
Right.
Although you can on Zoom, like this.
Fairly normal stuff now.
Yeah, it seems to be the new way of doing things. I guess the downside is you can't go to the pub after you get done with you and Doug.
No, that's true, but we can still have a few beers, even over Zoom.
Yeah. Sure. So 6x6 is out now for a week. It's been getting great reviews. I'm sure you've got to be pleased with the reviews. Everything I've read anyway has been very positive. Yeah,
over the moon with it, over the moon. So we're just really pleased. It's taken a while for it to come out and everything, but no, as soon as I heard this stuff, I was like, oh, this is brilliant,
Yeah.
The comments.
We're all very, very pleased and raring to go,
Comments on the video were all real positive, and it sparked a lot of talk about the lyric, talking about China, and but everyone was still positive and saying good things about the song, as well as mentioning, wow, that took a lot of guts to write something, that to actually hold something up and go, everyone should know about this. So here's a rock and roll song that can help you understand.
Yeah, no, I mean, a lot of Robert's lyrics are great. He's quite a deep thinker,
Yeah.
Lyric, great.
Are you a lyric writer at all?
I used to help out a bit in I'm trying to think, in the sort of mid-Saxon days, with lyrics and melody and stuff. In fact, I think it was, I'm trying to think, what was it? We got banned in Turkey, I think it was, years ago for Crusader.
Wow.
And in particular, the second verse, which I wrote. Biff turned around to me and said, "That's all your fault."
Thanks a lot, Nigel.
What is the second verse?
Oh no, I'm not going to sing it now. I'm not going to say it now. But it was just a sort of, you'll have to look it up. But it was just, I mean, they've played in Turkey since,
Yeah.
When I was sort of taking a break from the band, they went there. So that was all cool, But it was just at the time, it's your damn verse, it's your one.
Is lyric writing something you'd be interested in exploring, especially now maybe with 6x6, because it's sort of a new creative environment for you, or is that something you would rather just leave to the other guys?
Yeah, I'd rather leave that to Robert. I mean, he's the lyricist. He's been doing it for years, singing and stuff. So why upset the apple cart?
Right. We should mention, too, that there's a graphic novel that accompanies the album. Is that right?
Yeah.
It's called The Journey Internal. The Journey Internal. Tell us a little bit about how that came about. It seems to be sort of a new thing these days. A lot of bands are putting out graphic novels to accompany an album. So how did yours come about?
Really, Robert's baby.
Mm-hmm.
But I've got to say, I mean, the people that have been doing the artwork on it, I mean, it's just brilliant,
So I want to raise my hand and talk about this. I've never held one of these in my hand, a graphic novel. I know Anthrax, Judas Priest, now 6x6. I mean, slews of other artists have done this. What is this for people who may not know, such as me and our listeners? What is this? Dave, Nigel, learn me.
I mean, I've got to admit, it's a new thing for me too.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a new thing.
What have you guys learned about it? I mean, I know that it's artwork. It's off the chain, incredible artwork, because that's kind of the idea behind it. And but it just seems to me like it's an art book that has, is it lyrics? Is it biographical stories told by the band? What do you know about it?
I mean, this is Robert's baby, so it's something that, you know, he's had a vision about, you know, to do with his lyrics as well and his thoughts and everything. So, you know, I think, quite frankly, Robert would be the best person to talk to about it.
Wow, yeah. It's making me think of me being a giant Saxon fan, and Dave, of course, a band like Saxon, and of course Iron Maiden, and even Anthrax, and even Judas Priest. It just seems in like a metal band, with the content of lyrics and the different sort of like, you know, spokes that the lyrics of that type can go. This type of thing is perfect for that, for artwork, for collectibles, for, you know, just super rock nerd stuff ultimately. But the stories, it could be the lyrics and these sort of like vignettes on the story behind the lyric and all this stuff. You could go deep. And it would be really, really interesting for the nerds like me to probably want to crack open and you know, probably learn about the origins of the song, and learn about shit. Even, you know, from Dallas 1 p.m. to Crusader to, you know, just like these historical, real stories and what inspired the lyricist, whichever artist it is, to do this. I think is a great. I mean, I still am trying to conceptualize what one of these actually is, without buying one yet. So
my take on it, from what I've been able to gather, the artwork is very animated and sort of fantastical. It almost comes across visually. It almost looks like a comic book.
Yeah, that's what I've seen. Yeah.
But I think each band approaches it differently. So I think in some cases, the novel is basically a story loosely based on the lyrics of a particular album, or in other cases it might be a little more abstract than that. So I haven't seen all of the 6x6. I've seen like a still shot of one page, so I see what the artwork looks like. But conceptually, I'm not sure what it's about. But it sounds like Robert, I don't know if he's telling the story of the songs or if it's a little more abstract than that in this case.
That's basically what it is, to be quite honest with you. We haven't, you know, we've sort of discussed when it's coming out and seen the sort of artwork, but I haven't delved any sort of deeper into it.
Right.
Because as I say, that's his baby, you know.
Yeah.
Seems interesting, and it seems just like it hasn't quite... it seems popular, but not as popular as I feel the potential that it has. I mean, just, you know, broad statement.
I think it's just another little sort of thing. You know, someone, for instance, might just buy the graphic novel and then get into the band, maybe, or something. You know, I don't know.
It seems it's kind of like, you know, back when we were kids, you bought an LP and it came with a poster.
Yeah.
And nobody buys LPs anymore, and there is no such thing as all the packaging that you used to get with like a Kiss album or something. So maybe this is sort of the new version of having a visual accompaniment, you know, companion to the music.
Yeah, if you've downloaded a record and there's these other things, these toys that you can get to go with it that sort of are more explanatory and that sit on the shelf nicely. I think that's really cool, and a step back into what I used to call the ritual, which was, you know, you go to the store, you thumb through, your eyes get big, you purchase the record, you run home because you're a punk ass kid that can't wait to hear this new record by your favorite band, and you're opening the plastic, you're pulling the record, you're smelling the ink, all of that shit. And then dropping the needle, and then just for the next hour staring at both sides of whatever they gave you. Yeah, I just feel like that's
notes on it, reading who played what, or
I love all that stuff.
Yes.
Yeah,
Good.
that
Yeah.
used to be, as Jason said, part of the ritual. And I, to this day, I can recite things off of album covers, like who produced the record or who did the artwork or whatever, because I was lost in those liner notes just as much as I was lost in the music.
Or
Yeah.
all the artwork.
Yeah, yeah, the artwork
Yeah.
especially. Yeah, and the 6x6 artwork is the album cover is great, and the artwork I've seen in this graphic novel is great too. So
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
carrying the torch. So how is it? It sounds to me like 6x6. You have intentions for this being an ongoing a band for a while. So
Yeah.
how are you going to manage to have that coexist with Saxon? How are you going to manage to do both, and especially if it comes to once it comes to touring?
We'll work it out. You know, I mean, Ian's got to work around Saga as well, remember?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you know, basically what we've done at the moment, I mean, 6x6 have got a manager. So I've put them in touch with the Saxon manager, and I guess, you know, they'll get in touch with the Saga side, and we'll just work it out that way, you know.
And I hate to be that guy. Trying to sort out everyone's travel schedule. Oh, no, that guy's on tour in North America. Well, this guy's in Japan. And
Yeah. Plus the fact you sort of think, great, okay, I've done a tour with so-and-so. Now I can go home for a few weeks. No, I can't. I've got to go there now with the other lot.
Yeah. The old careful what you wish for thing, huh? Well,
You can do it, Nigel. You can do it.
Yeah, I have no doubt.
Yeah.
And, you know, and Biff did a solo record in recent, during the COVID period, I guess. And so you guys, and as you said, you've done other sessions besides what we talked about today. So you guys have managed to branch out in other directions and still keep everything going in, you know, Saxon. So we have no doubt you'll figure out how to juggle it all.
Yeah, we'll work it out. But we are going to tour anyway.
I think Biff did something with Amon Amarth.
Yeah, well, he's done a track with Amon Amarth.
That's
he
right.
Did it.
Yeah.
And I think Paul and Doug played a solo. Each played a solo on the same track, I think.
Really cool.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. Well, you had
doing other bits and bobs, you know. So I mean, Doug and I write. You know, we've written stuff for, you know, what they call library music, which can get used on like TV programs and stuff like that.
Right.
You know, so that's something else I do. I do it with Doug. I do it with another friend of mine that was in my first pro band, and I do it on my own. So that's something else. You know.
Is it kind of an account that you start and you submit music drops to this account, or is there a placement manager that you're in touch with that you send material to?
This particular company, they'll send sort of requests. How about, you know, we've been asked by a client to this kind of music, and we thought of you. Oof.
Right.
So then I submit stuff and see what happens. You know.
Pretty cool. Yeah.
Are you house hunting?
Not at the moment, no.
No? Okay.
Break of it 2 weeks.
Well, I know you're in Dallas now, and I know you used to live here in Austin, and I was wondering if you have a city of preference, or if you're just kind of, you know, at the moment just sort of getting settled and not worried about such things at this time.
Not worried about that at the moment. Not at all.
We'd love to have you back in Austin, so I'm going to cast a vote for Austin.
I knew it was coming to that. Yeah, we love having you here.
Yeah, because we can get together for dinner or IPAs or whatever, and the closer the better.
We can do that sometime anyway, no problem.
Yeah. Well, Nigel, I can't thank you enough for joining us today. This is your second time on the Talk Louder podcast, and we really appreciate it. I love that you're so available to us, and we always have a great time talking to you. I'm glad you're back in Texas. I hope that means we can get together at some point. And congratulations on the new album from 6x6. It's a great album, and I'm happy to hear you've got some tour plans. And
yeah.
and that you're already, kicking around ideas for a second album. So it's here to stay, and folks should go check it out. Is the album called what's the title of the album?
Yeah, it's 6x6.
Okay, it's self-titled. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So people need to go check that out. 6x6 featuring Nigel Glockler, Ian Crichton, and Robert Barry. Three amazing musicians pooling their talents together. So
yeah, I think that kind of surprised people when, reading the reviews. It's like, who would have thought these three would get together?
that's kind of what I was getting at earlier. You being, I don't want to pigeonhole you, of course, because I know that your musical talents go well beyond just the heavy metal realm. But the average person is going to think Saxon. How does that fit in with Saga and the guy that was, played with ELP or the GTR, which you were a part of as well? But yeah, the Saxon just kind of sounds like this big charging raging bull, and then how does this going to work with these other guys?
Well, in our the first time we had you on the show, Nigel, you told the story of how you got the Saxon gig, and I think people should go back and watch that episode. It'd be a good excuse for them to go back and watch that. And then realized that you were also in all kinds of like weird and cool underground new wave kind of shit. You were doing so many different things while also being a metalhead, someone who likes to fucking rock, play heavy shit. So, people should go check that out and then put that together, because you obviously are a man of many styles. And before we let you go, I just want to get in a word. Congrats on the new record, 6x6.
Thanks,
man. Hope to see that come through here sometime.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We're planning it. We'll get it together. So yeah, we'll have to get down there so we have a few IPAs. And you know what really pisses me off?
What?
Everyone knows I love Indian food, right?
Right.
So living in Lakeway, right, near Austin.
Yeah.
And so we've just moved, obviously, up here. They've now opened an Indian restaurant in Lakeway. And it's the best Indian I've had in the States.
Oh.
Is it a chain store?
No, I don't think so. No.
Oh, it's like a mom and pop. It's like a one-off. Yeah.
It's a one. It's brilliant.
Well, there you go. There's your excuse to come back and visit.
Time to move back to Lakeway.
Time to move back.
Maybe they got your old house waiting for you.
Next week.
Right.
Perfect.
I'm available. Let's make it happen.
Me and Dave are on the road.
Yeah.
Ready.
Nigel, thank you so much for joining us, man. We really appreciate it. We're happy to have you back in Texas. Give my best to Gina, and continued success with 6x6. We'll be following that record as people become familiar with it. It's good stuff. People need to hear it. And of course, we've always got our eyes and ears open for whatever's coming down the road as far as Saxon is concerned. So,
well, thanks for having me, guys.
Yes, sir. We do appreciate you joining us. On behalf of my co-host, Jason McMaster, I'm Metal Dave Glessner, along with our very special guest today, Nigel Glockler, folks, on the Talk Louder podcast.
See you later.